Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How are you today? This is Eddie Marcus again, and I'm coming to you because I have a few statements I'd like to make in relationship to things that affect your life. You know, I am a person of peace. I would like to consider myself as nonviolence because I feel that nonviolence is a way to achieve peace. It is a way to achieve a lot of things. Uh, and we have a situation here across the globe, especially here in America, where we have so much gun violence. We have places throughout the country where guns are being used to slaughter people. And now we are hearing that perhaps those guns are being used by people who have been programmed to use them as a pretext to draw attention to the nation about the violence of guns and using it as an excuse to confiscate the guns from the citizenry of this nation. Now, in times past, I have, because of my issue with nonviolence, have thought that it was a nice thing to have guns out of the community. And I still think it's a nice thing to have guns out of the community. It causes so much death to people. That's an ideal. That's an ideal that I've held for years and years. As I've become older and I realize the kind of nation that I live in, I approach this ideal a little different. When I see people who are doing all kinds of things to the general public, who are trying to destroy the general public, who are robbing the general public at every turn, trying to confiscate or rob anything that they can get out of the general public to make the general public more in need and relying upon the goodwill of others. We've heard people say that, I heard something about this Kennedy Hook where people have been, kids were supposedly killed. But then you go back a little later and you find out that people, many of them think that this was a staged event, thinking that kids weren't killed. That at the Super Bowl, some of those same kids supposedly that were killed are sitting at the Super Bowl game. People who were playing certain parts of these kinds of games end up getting houses and getting checks and all kinds of things just for pretending as if something has happened. There was a time when we used to think about the Ku Klux Klan and how the Ku Klux Klan would impose itself on slaves or black people. And you wish that black people had guns or something to retaliate against these clans, but not many slaves had guns. We talk about the times when so many things are going on, and then it makes you think about the Second Amendment. Somebody say, well, you need guns long time ago to kill food, so you had to have a gun. That's always nice if you need a gun to feed yourselves and your family. That sounds great. But what gets you is this. The Founding Fathers, who I don't have too much respect for, but at certain things you just have to respect them for. They claimed that the right to bear arms had little to do with buying food or killing food, but it had to do with protection. Protection from the police who will come to your house and break in your door, come in and beat the members up that are in that family that they want to beat up. They will tase them with stun guns if they so desire, and will even kill them in their own homes. We got video all across the internet from police doing this type of activity. You need a gun to stop these killers from coming into your house doing whatever they want to do. Not only that, you got people who believe that there might break out a war, and they want to be prepared to engage themselves in a war to at least defend their own ideology as opposed to have something imposed upon them without negotiation. And lastly, but not least, I would say to every American, whether you're a pacifist or somebody that's peaceful or whatever, if you can, if it's at all possible, go out and buy yourself a gun. Now realize you got children that you have to protect from these guns, and you exercise every precaution that you can to prevent accidents. But I say that every household should have some means of protecting themselves. And why do I say that? I say that because I have been hearing, and all of the information has been made available, that there's a new world order that's being organized. And part of it entails bringing in troops from this country and troops that's mixed up from other countries that will come into this country and any other country that they want to send them in. And their purpose is to go in and destroy order, to go in and abuse people, to even slaughter people, to do anything that the New World Order wants done in order to control people. And if for no other reason than this, I would say to every American, get yourself a gun. I would say to people all over the world, protect yourself from those who will violate you. Protect yourself from governments that will infringe upon your right to live. And not only get a gun to protect yourself from these vicious vipers, but also make up your mind that you, the citizenry of this nation, you, the citizenry of all nations, are going to put the common interest of the people above the interest of presidents, above the interest of prime ministers, above the interest of popes and queens and kings, above the interest of bankers, of the Federal Reserve, above the interest of the Illuminati, above the interest of the New World Order. That not only do you have a gun to protect yourself from those who would bring violence to you, but that you are going to change the way business is done in the world. That you're going to look out for one another. There are things that are coming amongst you: food, clothing, shelter, education, health care, and the joys of life, of travel and adventure. But one thing is very important, just as important as having a gun, and that is the right to have a career of your choosing, whereby you can contribute joyfully in the creation of goods and services that the people all over the world need. And that you can do it in such an abundance that no human being on earth would be without any of those things that we as a people have determined are essential in our lives. That way, we the people can be harmonized together. And we don't need these crooks standing on the top of the hill trying to make a monkey out of the rest of the people. We don't need these crooks selling out to corporations to utilize and brutalize the people for their own special interests. So I say to the people of the world, get yourself a gun to protect yourself from any powers that will come and abuse you. And equally as important as that is to decide, make a determination in your own mind that you are going to pull off all of these prejudices. You're going to pull off this hatred that you have been taught to hold against one another. And you're going to treat people the way you want to be treated. That you're going to use the resources of the earth wherever you are, work it out across the globe so that the people can be blessed. And the blessing will come directly from God through the people to one another. And you don't need a president. You don't need a prime minister. You don't need a king. You don't need a queen. All you need is a vision and a gun to keep those monkeys that will come and try to abuse you. Take notice. Bye-bye.